you guys, thanks so much for clicking on my channel. We're all smiles over here. I am Will Sanja. It's like asking a question. Will Sanja help you keep a smile for today? And hopefully the answer is yes, you guys. I'm gonna try not to keep it long, but y'all already know. If it gets good, I'm gonna keep on talking. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to go. The nugget today is no more guessing. Listen, a lot of y'all have asked God for a particular thing, okay? And you waiting on that manifestation, and you haven't seen it yet. And therefore, you have entered into a space of anxiousness. You're anxious. And you know what God says about that? He says what? Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving, let your petition be made known unto who? Unto God, right? Some of y'all are doing that, and that's why you're easy peasy. You're smooth over there, right? But some of y'all aren't doing it. It is not by prayer and supplication and thanksgiving with you. You're not. You have chosen to hold on to that anxiety. You have chosen to be anxious. And because you have chosen that, the enemy said, "Ooh, great. Now I can play a guessing game with them. I can make them guess." And therefore the enemy showed you something shiny. It looked like your manifestation. It sounds like your manifestation. It talks like your manifestation. It even walks like your manifestation. And now the enemy has placed it in his hand. And now he's telling you to guess. He said, "Any, meeny, miny, mo. Come on, guess. Come on, guess, girl. Come on, guess, man." And every time you make a guess, not it, right? Not it, not it. And whenever you play that guessing game with the enemy where you're guessing, it puts you in a vulnerable state. You started out being anxious. You played the game of guesswork with the enemy, right? And now you're vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, what happens? You become desperate. And when you become desperate, what happens? You begin to make decisions. And those decisions are made from a haughty, a faulty, and a folly state of mind, which means where you're going to find yourself having hardship, unnecessary hardship, all because you are over there doing guesswork. And when you are in that space, the enemy will push you right on into the spirit of divination. What is that? That means that you're going to different sources, demonic sources, okay, to get information so that you can follow through, so that you can get purpose, so that you can gain your manifestation. And anything that you go to that is not of God, that means it's demonic because it's against God. It's going against God. Some of y'all are turning to horoscopes. You're a Virgo, you're a Libra, right? You're a Gemini, you're a Sagittarius, right? You're a Cancer. And you say, let me see if it's going to say if I'm going to be successful in business today. Let me check my horoscope to see if I'm going to find love. Let me check my horoscope to see if I'm going to get a job. You're doing that. You're also getting your palm read. You're also doing what? You're looking at tarot cards. That's what you're doing. You're also burning sage. Yes, you are. You're also carrying different stones saying that they do this and that and the other for you. You're also doing what? Burning magic candles. I got a money candle. I got a love candle. I got a love stone. All of that is witchcraft. It is. A lot of people don't like to hear that, but it is. And that's why you wonder why haven't I found love? The horoscope said it. I've been carrying around a rose stone. I ain't got love yet. What's going on? And that's because you're in a space of spirit divination. And whenever you're in a space of spirit divination, all that stuff, which is witchcraft, you know what you've done? You have placed yourself in bondage. And when you place yourself in bondage, you know what's present? The python spirit, the spider spirit, the octopus spirit. You're saying, huh, girl, what you talking about? Yes. Are you feeling restricted over there today? You feeling like you can't break loose out of something? Every time you get a raise, it still ain't enough money? Every time it seems like you and your husband gonna be on good terms and y'all just still at each other's throat? Huh? I'm telling you, python spirit is restricting you. It ain't letting nothing get in. It ain't letting nothing come out. It's not. It's taking the breath out of it. It's a spirit of abortion, trying to kill something that God has commanded to live in your life. And it's all because you started out with being anxious. Anxious brought you into guesswork. Guesswork brought you into vulnerability. Vulnerability brought you into what? Desperation. And desperation brought you into the spirit of divination, witchcraft. relying on everything but God. You said, well, I trust the universe. The universe is listen to me carefully. Universe. I know this is going to sound corny, but it is so real. Universe is basically you versus God. Because if you're saying you're relying on the universe to do it, that means you're still not looking at God. That means you're still not having your trust in God. That means you are leading. That's the enemy goal, to put you in idolatry, to get you to trust in yourself. You're worshiping yourself, which means what? You're leaning to your own understanding. What did God say about that? He said, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all of your ways to acknowledge Him, not to acknowledge the universe, not to acknowledge some sage, some stones, horoscopes, right? Magic candles, tarot card readings, palm readings, your grandmama's advice. No. He said, but in all of your ways to acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Any and every time you choose to acknowledge everything else but God, you're in a space of idolatry. You are. And a lot of people don't know that, even though they say universe. I told you, I used to be that way, saying universe. It was me versus God, because I was still trying to do it my way. Universe, I'm going to talk to the universe. Universe, will you bring me this? Which means, well, I'm still in control. And what did God say? It's not by our might, nor by our power, but by His Spirit. I told you, when God's Spirit is in operation, what happens? God says, what? Then you shall receive power. Power, when you have the power of God, which means when the Holy Spirit is working, it's God's Spirit. That means whatever God has ordained to live in your life, it will live. Whatever God has called you to, you will be in it. Whatever God has for you, you will get it. But whenever you choose to go outside of God, you will always find yourself in a pickle. In a pickle. God has never ordained for you to know it all. He hasn't. That's why in 1 Corinthians, God said, this may be along with y'all. God says what? We know in part, and we what? And we prophesy in part. Which means what? God never designed for you or for me to know the whole plan. Why? Because it places us and keeps us in a space to rely on Him. And when we are in that space to always to rely on God, then who gets the glory at the end when you manifest? God does. But if you know it all, if God gave you all of it, you know what you'll say in the end? You'll say, it was me. Because I have a doctorate degree, that's how I got it. Because my last name is so-and-so, that's how I got it. Because I'm so smart, that's how I got it. You'll take the glory. And God is saying, no. You ain't going to take my glory. And God also knows this, that if He showed you everything, a part of the plan, you wouldn't be able to handle it. It'll be too much for you. Be too much for you. God have things in our lives that He wants us to be doing have. And some of those things are like puzzles. You have certain puzzles that have 50 pieces, certain puzzles that have 100 pieces, some puzzles that have 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces. And God sometimes only gives you 2 pieces to work with, to start out with. And what the enemy wants you to do, he wants you to think that you have all the pieces. And when you get into that space of the guessing game, like I told you, because you're anxious and you become vulnerable and then you become desperate and now you've been relying on your own self, yourself, okay? Then you'll be over there leading with 2 pieces trying to make a 50-piece puzzle work. And you're saying, this don't look like nothing, because it ain't. It ain't nothing because you only have 2 pieces. God has all the pieces. Think about it also like this. Why in the world would you try to defend yourself if you're not a lawyer? God is your attorney, right? God is your everything. So if you need defending, why would you do it? Why wouldn't you let God do it when He's your lawyer? In a courtroom, Same thing with surgery. You need surgery, whether spiritually or physically. Why in the world would you try to perform surgery on yourself? You're going to give yourself the anesthesia, right? Yeah, you're going to put yourself to sleep. Okay, I hear you. I hear you over there. This how you thinking. This how the enemy got you thinking. Put yourself to sleep, girl, first. Put yourself to sleep first, man. Then while you sleep, you're going to get the scalpel. And you're going to cut down the center of your chest. Yeah, you see how the enemy got you looking over there? You need surgery, but you're going to try to do it. You already have a doctor. You have a lawyer. God is everything you need. That's what he said. Just rely on him. In all your way, acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. That's why he said he will be the lamp unto your feet and the light unto your path. He's your light and your salvation. Whom shall you fear? He's the strength of your life. Of whom should you be afraid? When you're not relying on God, then you don't have strength. That's why you're feeling weak over there, because the enemy got you fooled. You're over there playing enemy, mighty mo. God is saying no more guesswork. He knows it all. He said you're his guest. He's inviting you to his home to receive good goods and yum yums. When somebody invites you, y'all, this may be a long one. When somebody invites you to their home, you're the guest. They're going to feed you. It's a feast. So when you get there, you don't go there trying to decorate. No, you don't go there trying to do what? Clean up. You don't go there trying to check on the turkey in the oven. You don't go there trying to see if the cake is ready. You don't go there setting the table. You don't. You're just a guest. You're just a guest. You have to learn that when you're invited into something, then the one that has invited you, they have taken care of everything. The only thing you need to do is what? Just show up. Show up in the right attire, right? Show up with the right mindset. Show up with the right heart. Show up with a smile. That's what God is asking you to do. Just show up. You ain't got to know how to cook. You ain't got to cook the turkey. That's what God is saying. You ain't got to figure it out. God is saying you don't have to guess. You don't have to do any work. You don't. The only work you're going to have to do is those words that you hear behind your ear. What I told you what God said. Your ears shall hear a word behind them saying, this is the way. Walk in it, whether you go to the right or to the left. That's all you're going to have to do is just walk what God say walk. Speak what God say speak. Do what God say do. But you ain't going to go up in that peace, right? You're not going to go up in God's house trying to give instructions. God said he's the teacher. He said, I will teach you and I will instruct you. Right? In which way to go. And he will guide you with his eyes. That's what he said. But a lot of y'all are walking into God's presence. Walking into God's house. Saying, God, oh, I'll finish the turkey off for you. God, I'll finish that upside down pineapple cake for you. God, I'll finish the brownies. God, I'll set the table. And God said he's the one that will prepare a table before you. Not that you're going to set the table. No. God is preparing the table. But the enemy wants you to be contrary to God. He's trying to derail you out of the will of God by getting you to get into the space of idolatry. Into the space of me. I this, I that, me. Yes. Me, myself, and I. That's what the enemy wants you to be. That's what he wants you to be. Because he knows that when you're in that space of idolatry, then God is not leading. Then the enemy can dangle you around. He can weave. He can put you in the web. He can weave you in that web. He can put that python around you, restrict you. Keep things from coming in and keep things from going out. Yeah. That bondage that you've been feeling like you can't move forward, that's the enemy. All because you're in a state of universe. You versus God. So get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that. And start to trust God with all your heart. And lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways, acknowledge God and he will direct your path. And when you understand that, you'll also understand that you ain't got to know it all, boo. You ain't got to know the whole plan. And because of that, the spirit of anxiousness won't be able to dwell. It won't. Because you'll understand that when you're just going to pray about that thing. You're just going to put in some supplication. And you're going to give God thanks. Right? And then you'll see that, God, God will bloom it. In other words, he'll bring the manifestation, all because you were trusting in him with your whole heart. That's all you got to do. No guesswork. Stop trying to know it all, because God never designed you to lead. He's the leader. He's the leader, not by your might, nor by your power, but by God's Spirit. And when it's by God's Spirit, God gets the glory. And you get your goodness and yum yum. You get your manifestation. I hope y'all got this. But if you didn't get it, please rewind this thing and watch again. But in the meantime, in between time, if you take just a little bit of what I'm telling you and apply to your life to the best of your ability, you want to ever have the master smile. Why? Because your smiles will always be genuine. Be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed, be blessed, stay blessed. Remember, no more universe, no more spirit of divination. It's just God leading, no guesswork. God got you. Trust in him. Trust in him and watch you will indeed receive it. You will receive it. Talk to y'all soon. Y'all know it's coming.